everybody. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I am Kevin Rhines. I am our host this morning for our Monday all call on this chilly fall morning. Happy Monday to everybody. I know it's a holiday for some, might have kids running around at home and off of school today, but we're going to launch a wonderful meeting to kind of get you going and anchored for your week. So let's go through a couple of little programming before we jump in. I have two phenomenal guests with us today. I have Vince Milito, managing broker of our Park Ridge South and Elmhurst office. Thank you for joining us this morning. I also have Lauren Roman with us this morning. Lauren has so many great nuggets and things to share with us this morning. I'm so excited to get into our conversation. But before we bring them on this morning, I want to go through just a few little programming items. Let's talk a little bit about the schedule for the week. You guys are with me right now for our Monday all call webinar, up and ready to go on this Monday morning. We have two different business planning sessions this week. We are going to, whoops, we got some spell checks on that, but we are going to be going to our Michigan and Indiana offices this week for business planning. For those of you who haven't attended a business planning session yet, Angela are so excited to go to Michigan and Indiana this week. We're going to be there Wednesday, doing two different sessions, one in Michigan, then one in Indiana. If you haven't joined any, scan this QR code. We do have some more opportunities coming up. Like I said, we're in Michigan and Indiana this week. The following week, we're going to be doing our city business planning meetings, and then we will close out our business planning session with our Hinsdale. We'll be in Hinsdale in the western suburbs at the Hinsdale Community House that last week. So go ahead and scan that QR code to join us. We hope to see everybody there. We've had some really great conversations in these business planning sessions. We're really excited to welcome you guys. We also have Expo coming up on November 4th. Okay, so Expo, like Thad said at our agent summits, our goal of Expo every single year is to make it the best Expo ever. And so we have really great speakers lined up for Expo this year. So if you haven't registered for it, there's still spaces. Give yourself time to plan for the whole day. It's going to be a really amazing day filled with awesome speakers, great networking opportunities. So join us at Expo on November 4th. And then finally, we have Ninja installation coming up. We have Don Tennyson joining us November 12th through the 15th. We're hosting that at Rosemont this year. I know many of you have been through Ninja installation in the past. Those of you who haven't and have always had it on your bucket list of things to do and kind of just make sure you're roaring and ready to go going into 2025 and you have great systems and processes in place, Ninja's the place to be. I have never taken Ninja installation. It's always been on my bucket list. I'm crazy excited to be a part of it. I will be going through installation the 12th through the 15th. So come and join me, scan that QR code. We do have some seats left and available. So please join us for that. All right, on that note, I am going to ask Vince and Lauren to turn on their cameras. We're going to turn that on. There's
All
Vince.
right.
Well, Vince, thank you.
How you doing,
Lauren
Kev?
is with us as well. Excellent. All right, let's dive into it. Like I said, we've got a lot of awesome things to cover this morning, so let's dive into it. We had our prep call. What we always like to do before these Monday calls is just have an opportunity for the three of us to speak. During that prep call, we came out with so many awesome nuggets. So let's dive into it. When we spoke during our prep call, I'm going to start with you, Lauren. When we spoke during our prep call, one of the things I found really compelling is that the volunteer work you do in your hometown. Share a little bit about how you got started with this and why it's been rewarding to you both personally, excuse me, and professionally.
Yeah, so it kind of happened by accident, I think, which it's I think makes it even more genuine because I'm really involved in the community at the village level. I'm an elected official on the board in my town, but that was never my intention when I first got involved. And then I'm really involved at the school. And when I was thinking back about how it happened, I was involved. My first thing that I got involved with at the village level was the events committee. And I was really interested in events and planning events. I actually wanted to be an events coordinator a long time ago. So that was a passion of mine. So that's how I got involved at the village level. And then it snowballed into what it is today. And then at the school, I have a daughter who has special needs and she has a really significant speech delay. So I wanted to be involved in the school as much as I possibly could. So that then I started volunteering at the school and then snowballed into I'm on the executive committee of the PTA now. So I think both things started with a genuine interest and then grew into what they are today, where I'm basically at every single thing that you could be at in the town.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, we talk about prospecting, we talk about being in front of people and being present in our communities. One of the ways that and you have incorporated this in your business or just in your life is being seen as that leader in that community. And so many times it comes organically with just wanting to be present in the community or be of service to our kids, right? And make sure that they're having the best experiences in school or the community as humanly possible. And the professional side of it comes from that. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about how you incorporate your business into that community relations and ultimately the reward that that gives to ultimately your bottom line in your business.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the school, I was saying before that every time we get any email where we can buy t-shirts, and now the brand boutique, I have to go back in there, but I have a ton of App Property swag, like all of the summer shirts, the breast cancer awareness shirt, like any opportunity to get an App Property shirt, I've gotten one. And then I wear them everywhere, like for school drop off. We have this thing called the Wow Cart at school. If I'm running the Wow Cart, I have an App Property shirt on. And it's my way of marketing more than like there's a realtor at school drop off who has their car, like a big thing on their car. Like for me, it's a less in your face reminder that I am a realtor. And and then at the village level, it's actually come in handy for both. Um, like the realtor side helps with the village side, and the village side helps with the realtor side because I'm always kind of tying things into people's property value. So when we're passing budgets or offering programs for village or for residents, like I always kind of tie in that real estate side as a little bit of a reminder, like, hey, I'm your local realtor. So the two things, all of them kind of just go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things we talked about is kind of when you're servicing your community, which is something that's always at top of mind. I love talking to brokers and asking them, where's the source of your business come from, or what are you doing to really move the needle on your business? And so often it's just being in front of people in a million different ways. And so when it comes to supporting your community, a lot of the times it's going to benefits or wanting to donate money at school functions or buy things at benefits, whether it's trips or whatnot, where you're servicing the community by donating, where you're giving your treasure, right? And there's different ways that we can do it. One of the sayings that you said on this meeting, and I forget exactly how you posted it. I always used to say, instead of giving your treasure, give your time. And you had a different phrase of it. So you had said, instead of spending my dollars, I'm spending my minutes, right? And so I'm giving my time to my community, and that is ultimately the greatest reward that you can get out of your business with it. And so tell me a little bit about do you track, how do you know roughly how much of a percentage of your business you get as a result from, I know it's Homewood and I know you get you're the number one broker in there, you have been in years past, and you're probably climbing to the top of that again this year. But how much of that business comes from, yeah, exactly. How much of that business comes from the community outreach that you do, or just being a member of the community at a high level?
I think a majority of my business, I don't have an exact percentage, but I do
Sure.
think the majority of my business comes from because you can see where it went. Like when I got involved, like my middle daughter was 6 weeks old when I was asked to fill a vacancy on the board. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to have any time for this, but this will help my real estate business. And I did it. And that was kind of one step in the right direction to grow my business to where it is today. I do also make an effort though to try and say I don't only work in Homewood. I'm licensed in Illinois and Indiana, so I try to do a lot of you know, other ways of reaching people to say, I this is where I am number one, but I do business all outside of Homewood also. And I think so my referral base is here in Homewood. A lot of people, even if they have family or friends that are moving or selling, buying or selling other places, I get a lot of referrals from Homewood residents. So it is definitely my number one referral source.
Beautiful. I love that. I'm going to bring Vince into the conversation now. Vince, I know when we talked a little bit on the prep call or in between, you talk to so many different brokers, right? Managing the two offices that you manage and just kind of how to be present in your community and leverage some of that. I know in your past experience as a broker, when you were selling as well, it was something that was important to you. And so share a little bit about how being that leader in the community from your perspective can really benefit someone in their business, ultimately and personal. I always feel a little bit dirty talking about our outreach in our community being business, business, business. So much of it is just feeling great about giving back to the community and making sure that everybody, the people that you love and you care about and you spend the most amount of time with are taken care of, and ultimately the business comes with it. And so then share a little bit from your perspective.
So I think, Lauren, what you have done is absolutely amazing. I love how involved you've gotten in your community, what you've done, and the way you've been able to kind of spread it out outside of Homewood and keep building your business. Ultimately being involved in your community is really important. It helps us build relationships in our community, helps foster additional like trust, within the community. The more residents in the area, the more they see you involved in your community, they're going to start to look at you a little bit differently. One of the challenges when we first come into this business is, getting people to change the way they look at us, right? Because before we got into real estate, they only know us however they met us, right? So whether we were meeting other parents, in the pickup line at school, at the preschool level, or however we're meeting people, that's kind of how they looked at us, right? So being involved in a community, giving back to your community in these different ways is a great way to really build your brand inside your community, because that's what we're doing too. We're building these relationships, we're establishing trust, but we have a real estate brand, that we can bring into that. And we want them to start looking at us in that fashion. So the more that we can do, to tie the two together, without it kind of feeling obnoxious, tying the business side of what we do into, the work that we're doing in our community in a way that we volunteer our time.
Absolutely. And Lauren, you had mentioned when we were talking about it the other day, part of being a member of that community is supporting local, right? And supporting small businesses. And you had mentioned that traditionally you do a client appreciation event and those kinds of things. And you had shared with me kind of what your thought was for your future client appreciation event, which there was a new business that opened and you were hoping. So share a little bit with the group about how you can incorporate that on supporting local.
Yeah. So another thing that I'm involved with is I am a member of the Homewood Business Association as a realtor. So not from the board level or from the PTA. I joined as Lauren Roman Realtor as a business association member. So I'm involved with a lot of the local business owners, and we do have a brand new restaurant, or it's a brewery. We have a brand new brewery opening. And because of me knowing all of the business owners and the village level stuff and everything, I'm hoping to get like one of the first available dates. It's opening next week and they're not scheduling private events yet, but as soon as they do, I'm hoping to have one of the first available private event dates so that I can have my client appreciation event there. And it's this new, fun, exciting place that nobody's been to. So hopefully people will want to come, and then we're supporting a local business. And so tying all of that in together too. And I do want to say to Vince's point too, and you had even mentioned it, Kevin, like we can get involved in our community as much as we want. Like I could join all of these different things, but if the only goal, like how you had said, if the only goal is to grow my business, it's not going to feel, it's going to feel fake, and people are going to pick up on that. They're going to know that I'm not there for genuine reasons. Like I was thinking about the different ways that other people can get involved, and there's so many different community events and committees, and the village level, the school, we have like a parent music association, like all of these different things. So find something that you are already passionate about or something that already interests you, and then get involved in that way so that it feels more genuine when you're involved in it, when you're doing it.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And that goes to community outreach. It goes to networking opportunities. It goes to just about anything, right? If it's not something you are truly passionate about or you believe in, then it's almost that dread, right? When that meeting's on your calendar and it says, I have to go to this, you're like, oh, I really don't feel like jumping in and going to that right now. But if it's something that you buy into, you're passionate about, you love, then you're more likely to do it, right? My son, I mean, I'm a coach at heart. So I had always coached everything with my children and every sporting event, whether it's flag football or lacrosse or basketball or whatever it is. And you just get that reputation as somebody who cares about the community. It was never about business. I mean, I remember one of my first major luxury listings just came from that. I coached their kid in like a flag football first grade league, and we got to be friends, and I got an opportunity from business because of it. It's never where you're asking for the business, right? And sometimes you do, but majority of the time it's just you're seen as that person and that trusted advisor and somebody that they respect and that they care about. So look for those small opportunities. You don't need to go all in. Lauren is amazing at how much community outreach that you do and how much you participate in. Start small, right? Lauren didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to participate in these 12 different things that I'm going to do. It was one at a time, and you kind of climb the ladder and you get seen as that true leader in your community. So truly hats off and kudos to you on that. I'm going to shift a little bit because one of the other things that we talked about in our prep meeting was just how do you handle as much as you handle, right? Lauren, as a team lead, as a mother of three, as somebody who is a leader in your community, how do you balance all of that while running your business, right? And so how do you stay focused and on the point? One of the things that I asked you was, how are you with time blocking? And we kind of both just chuckled and laughed, where some people aren't great at time blocking, right? And I know we talk a lot about that, whether it's myself or Amy or Angela, on the power of truly time blocking to get everything in. But sometimes it's, you have to be genuine to yourself and just understand what your weaknesses are as well as your strengths. But one of the things that you talked about was, it's not necessarily about time blocking, but it's making sure you're on point with your tasks. And so if you don't mind sharing a little bit about how you handle that, I think it would be really beneficial.
Yeah, I will never understand time blocking. I don't know how anyone in our industry time blocks. So if there's anybody here that has it down, please email me and tell me, because our days just don't look the same, and I have 3 kids, and it's just I'm living in chaos. So I instead have systems in place that like the one thing that really changed my communication, I was when there's too many balls in the air, I would, drop things. So I have every single time I get in my car, wherever I'm going, if I have my kids in between appointments, whatever, I sit down, and like the first 3, 5, if needed longer, minutes in my car, I look through my phone and I add all the reminders. Like I would be with a client and I would say, oh yeah, I'll send you that, whatever. And then I get in the car and I throw my Google Maps up and go on my way and completely forget that I had just told that person that I was going to send them something. So instead, now I sit down, I make a to-do list of anything that I need to do, and I respond to all my text messages or emails, or so it's like my way of making sure like that habit track, or like trigger for my habit to sit down, make my list, respond to my messages, and go on my way. So that's one thing. Do you want me? I can tell you about my sheets that I
Yeah,
have.
no, we'll jump into that in just a second. One of the lines that I thought was so genuine and awesome that you said was, I'm not great at managing my time, but I'm great at managing my tasks, right? So often we think the two are incorporated, and ultimately we want to get to that point where, yes, as brokers, you can't control the chaos, right? You can try to control a little bit of buffers where it's time blocking, and then you leave white space behind in your calendar so you can do the follow-up with it. But being genuine to understanding what your weaknesses and your strengths are. If you can't manage your time, but you got to get everything done, everything that you just described was managing the tasks. And I thought that was really beautiful in how you put that when we talked the other day, which was, I know I need to get all of these tasks completed and finished. I might not block it into my time, but I need to get it off. Then I'll set reminders for myself when I have more of that white space in there to come back and do what I need to do. That's what's most important and impactful. So well done on that. So yeah, let's flip to talking a little bit about let's share a little bit about your systems and your processes, because with all the chaos that is your life as a mother of 3 and running a team and a business at the level that you do, share what your strategies and kind of your systems are, because I thought you had a couple of really great ones to share with the group.
Yeah. So I was finding that a lot of our work happens in the car, right? So that's where that came from, where I was, that was my little trigger for my to-do list. But also I never had the same piece of paper or the same notebook or anything like that to take down notes when I needed to. So I made these lists, or I made these sheets where I have 2 books. I just made the sheets on Canva, and I'm happy to share them. Where I have a buyer lead sheet, and I just printed the same sheet multiple times, bound it in the office with like an app properties cover. And so I have a buyer one and a seller one, and these are in my bag at all times. If I'm at home or in the car or wherever, they're always with me. And if I have to take a call from a new buyer or a new seller, I have my book here, because like before I would write them on random pieces of paper, and then I would lose the piece of paper when I would sit down to go do the CMA before the meeting. And it was chaos. It was just another thing that was chaos. So this has helped a lot, because then I have this, and like my seller one, I take down, it guides me through the conversation. I always have it. So I'm having the same conversation with every seller, every buyer. And then on the back of the seller one, I also have listing appointment notes. So I flip it over, and I have this with me while I'm walking around the house and taking down notes, like reverse osmosis system in the water, things that they are for their water system. So they didn't say that on the phone, but now everything is right here. And this changed my business. I feel so much more organized from the client intake standpoint. And I just make sure they're always with me. And
I
then,
love it.
and then I have an online tracker that then I take these from, that I put into for like the actual transaction.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good. And so many people, so much in our industry, we're trying to get away from paper, right? We're trying to get more into systems and paperless and all that. But I'm watching the chat, and it's blowing up where everybody's like, I love that. I'm such a paper person. I love those sheets. I despise paper. It gives me too much chaos, and it gives me anxiety to have paper on my desks. But you have to understand who you are and what works for you. And so I thought it was a brilliant idea to do it. And we've done Get What You're Worth, and we have these call sheets, and we have these interview sheets. It doesn't always work for everybody, one size fits all, which is what I love about it. It's the same concept, the same idea behind all of it, but you put it in a format that makes sense for you, that keeps you on point and organized, and is just amazing. Vince, how cool is that?
It's awesome, man. And you kind of touched on it, right? It's not a one size fits all. Everyone's going to have their ways that kind of work for them. Just find your way. So I love what Lauren did here. Lauren, I'm a really big fan here. So I love the things you're coming up with. These are really good, because I'm kind of a paper guy too. Even sometimes when I'm reading things on the computer, I'm like, I've got to go print it out. And then I've got to like look at it and read it that way. And it just resonates differently with me, and I'm very task orientated too. I get my task lists for the day, and I just want to knock those out. So everyone just kind of needs, it takes a little bit of self-awareness to realize, what you do well when it comes to keeping yourself organized. A lot of people do struggle when it comes to organizing their business and their task and how to do it, but find something that, works for you. Try these. If you haven't found anything yet, just try, Lauren's idea, give that a shot. And if that isn't, quite your thing, or paper isn't your thing, then try something else. Maybe, maybe it's the notepad in your phone, and maybe you schedule your tasks in there, but there's different ways to do it. You really just got to find your niche for how that's really going to is work for you, and then just apply it to your business. And I'd encourage you to really take the first 1 or 2 hours of your day right out of the gate, get your tasks done. Don't leave them for later, so whatever you got going in the morning, whether you're dropping off the kids or you're going doing a yoga class or something, when you come back, the first thing you should do with your business is get those to-do lists done, get those tasks done, so that you can move on. Now you've already entering the rest of your day with a feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. I love kind of what you said about the book, and I love the fact it's bound, right? And the chat is saying that as well, where you took the time to not just have loose leaf paper, because then we lose everything, right? If it's loose leaf paper and you bound it and it's in there. And then what you said after that is, after you fill all that out, you go back and you put it in your tracker, right? Your pipeline, essentially, so that you can make sure it's all in there. So it's top of mind, so that when you're saying to yourself, in the sense of all the chaos, what do I need to do? What tasks do I owe people? And who do I need to stay top of mind? It's all in one place. And so I love everything about that. And so we have a lot of people in the chat asking to share that information with them. I will make sure I post that. Lauren has been gracious enough to go ahead and volunteer to share some of that with you. So yeah, tweak it, make it your own, right? That's the message with everything, is use these systems, use these templates, but make them genuine to what works for you. So tweak it. What works for Lauren is truly working for her, but it doesn't mean mean it might work for the next person or the others. And so make it genuine and make it your own. All right, believe it or not, we are right at 9:30. That went really fast. I promised you it would, right? My prep call. So what we always like to end every one of our Monday all calls is with a nugget of motivation from each of our panelists. And so I would ask Vince and Lauren to share their nugget of motivation. Vince, I'll start with you. Leave us with something inspiring and motivating on this Monday morning.
Yeah. So what I would just say to something is when I wake up in the morning and I'm starting my days, I like to have small wins. And what happens when you take small wins every day is that starts to resonate throughout your day. So that's why I'm a big proponent of waking up and doing something positive right away in the morning, whether that's a morning workout, going to the gym, whether you got to get certain things done, coming back, hitting your tasks. Now you can look at your day and it's only 10 o'clock or 10:30 and you're going to have the best feeling because you will have already accomplished so much in such a short frame of mind. This is going to carry out with you throughout the rest of your day, and you're just going to be more productive as a result of that. So if you can just find a way to apply some of these things to your business, start them early, you're going to really see how your days are going to start to feel more and more productive as time goes on. And the more you can do that, the more your business will look, the way you want to, right? More like a staircase, like constantly, on an uptrend, right? Versus like a short-term stock chart where it's a little bit up, it's a little bit down. So the more consistent you can be, the more consistent your business is going to produce for yourself.
Yep, I love that. And I can tell you Vince is off and ready to roll this morning. He was in the office at 7:20 this morning, ready to go. So he's going to have a really productive day. Well done, Vince. All right, perfect. Lauren, share your motivation for everybody this Monday.
Yeah. I was thinking about my motivation for this call and I thought, I don't do anything groundbreaking like this. This to me is like the social media of at properties, right? Like the highlight reel, like this is what works for me now, but I can't even tell you how many things I tried before that failed and did not work. So, I think my greatest, advice or what I think has worked for me is like Vince said, you wake up in the morning and one of the first things I do before my kids wake up is I make my to-do list for the day. And it's a million things on my to-do list. And everything is about choices. What I put on that to-do list and what gets done that day, that's the priority. And what we pour ourselves into is going to grow. So what you pour your energy into is going to grow. And just remember that when it comes to time and chaos, like I can't get every single thing. I have a running to-do list of things that are just not going to get done in that day. And making your choices and prioritizing things, what you prioritize will grow. So focus on the things that you want to grow. And then that's where you put your energy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I struggled with to-do lists as well. And I'll leave a little nugget here myself to kind of piggyback off of what Lauren's saying. For those of us who write to-do lists, right? And we all do, like, here's the most important things I need to do. One of the things I always struggled with is I would write everything down and it would be both personal and professional lists of what I needed to do, right? And what ends up happening is I would get most of my personal things done and less of my professional things done. And so then I decided I wanted to change that. And so I would go back and I would write all out my to-do list and then I would number 1 through 10, whatever it was. What's the most important thing would be 1. The least important thing would be 10. Still didn't work for me, right? On what I was going to do. I still was doing my grocery shopping or whatever in the middle of the day. And then I read a really good book called The Green Zone, which was all about that, right? About staying on point with your task list. And one of the things that the author of that book put in there was I wrote my to-do list, then I was numbering it. And then what his tip was go back and put a $ next to everything that is going to grow your business or put money in your pocket. And those are the things you do first and foremost, right? I can go grocery shopping at 9 o'clock at night. Jewel's open till 10. I can go grocery shopping at 9. I can pick up my dry cleaning tomorrow, but I can't skip the things that are going to put money into my business. And so I'll leave that with a little nugget for those of you who are good at to-do lists. Try putting a $ next to the things that are going to be income generating and do those first. All right. Perfect. Vince, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it. This was such a good, impactful meeting. We have so many great takeaways for everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. We are here if you need anything. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.